What's up, you guys? Aedan here, and today I want to first off apologize that I didn't make a video yesterday for all those people who actually care. And I didn't really mean to, like, I could explain why. I wasn't sick or anything, but it's a really long story. And the point is that I just didn't have time to make a video. So I'll be sure to make 2 videos today just to make up for it. And this first one's gonna be Talks with Aedan because that's what it should have been yesterday. But I will eventually make a commentary today, because that is the schedule after all. And today's video, Talks with Aedan, episode 4, I believe. We're going to be talking about the time that I fell off my hoverboard and scrambled the bones in my wrist. So, long story short, I have a hoverboard, and I once fell off it. And there was this time, and at my house, there's a well, not at my current house, but where I used to live, there was a half-mile trail to a neighborhood where all my friends stayed, or lived, I should say. And I always went over there after school and stuff to hang out. And I think I only told 2 people this, and the other 2 people were the people who saw me see it. And I was riding my hoverboard, and my friend, I'm just gonna call him Larry, because I don't want to say names or anything, because I believe he watches my videos. And Larry decided to, hey, this guy is very scared about riding a hoverboard, so I might as well fake him out. And he told me later that's exactly what he was trying to do, just scare me. And at first I thought it was funny until he started doing it over and over and over and over again, and it started getting really old. And then he started getting closer and closer and closer to me. And it was at this time that I thought that, yeah, he's definitely gonna push me this time. Wait a minute. Oh, crap. Anyways, so, he started getting closer and closer. And if you don't know how hoverboard works, you point your feet forward to go forward, and point both of your feet back to go backwards. And you should only do it so slightly, because if you do too much, you can literally fall off because of it. And I was so scared that I slammed my heels backwards, and I completely fell off. And I fell back. And I don't know if I think most people do, because that'd be weird if they don't. But when you fall backwards, do you ever just, like, the first thing that you try to do is catch yourself? And by that, you just try to, like, you either go in with your elbows to stop your fall, or your wrists to try to catch yourself. And the thing is that I decided that it would be a fun idea to just go the wrist way. And the thing is that I didn't go to wrist. I fell slightly to an angle. So the first thing to hit the ground was my left wrist. And because of the momentum that I had while I fell, and all of my body weight that I put on that one wrist that was bent, it was so painful that, like, it seriously got so painful that, like, a minute afterwards, like, it was so unbearable that I didn't even feel it anymore. It was just, it hurt that bad that it just felt like it was stinging. And I thought that I just, like, bruised, like, an inside muscle. And that's what my mom thought at first too. So I came home holding my arm as tight as I could, and my sister kept on saying that, like, I just hurt myself, and she kept on yelling at me, telling me to shut up as usual. And it was really funny because I thought the same thing. I was like, I was just being over dramatic, until my mom took me to the doctors 2 days later, because she didn't know, like, what happened, and I didn't know either. And she took me 2 days later to the doctor, and I got an x-ray. And the x-ray showed that I had 2, if you ever seen an x-ray of a wrist, then you know what I'm talking about. But 2 of the smaller bones were overlapping each other almost. And it was so weird looking at. But 2 small bones were overlapping each other, half and half. And then the power of the fall apparently transferred to my forearm, and I had a fracture, a very small one, in my forearm. And the thing is that they said that you obviously didn't break anything, and it's not as bad, and it's not too bad to put in a cast. So they didn't put in a cast, but they said that it was so much that you couldn't leave it undone, but it was too little to just put it in a cast. So I decided to just accept it, and they didn't give me a cast, but they did give me a small fabric restraint. And if you don't believe me, once again, don't go out of your way to prove me wrong. I have the cast in a drawer somewhere, and I wrapped it around, and because I wasn't getting a cast, but I needed to have it, good. The doctor tightened it so hard around my wrist, and at the time, still kind of do, I had insanely fat and chubby arms, and it was so embarrassing, and I hated it so much. But because of how tight my doctor wrapped that around my arm, like the little holes of the restraint, my arm fat was trying to peek through like the flesh, and it was so embarrassing. Because it's seriously, like, if you've never done this before, like, get a net and then take a big block of Jello and just slice the Jello with a net, and you will see all the Jello come through all the small little squares. That's exactly what it looked like, and I hated it. And I always wore a jacket to cover up my arm because of how embarrassing it was. And my doctor had to tighten it so much to the point where it was cutting off my circulation. And after like 2 months, I think, I was able to take it off. And that's exactly what I thought. And I just thought that every time I hurt my wrist, I just assumed that it was back to being a really jacked up piece of crap. And the story doesn't end there, and it's been quite a while, but I went to a roller skating party like 2 weeks after that, and it was something my school was hosting. And it's a barred off fence of the rink, and there's some people in that didn't quite know how to stop, and in each corner of the rink there were openings. And one of the biggest rules, you never ever stand in front of the entry. And at the time I was just talking to my friend, and we stopped, and I didn't know that we were in front of the entry. I just wasn't crossing my mind. And there was someone that was coming, like, she did like 5 laps before she started coming down, and she didn't know how to stop. And she went full speed at me, and I think that there was like yards, like almost 10 yards, and she was going that fast, and it was insane. And she hit me, and I was on roller skates, so I fell back, and I tried to grab her arm to make sure that she didn't fall, and she didn't, luckily. I was the one who did, and I fell on my wrist again, and I ran out of the roller skating rink holding my wrist as hard as I can, and I started shaking it over and over and over again, and I was able to move it. It didn't hurt as bad as the last time, and I was so freaked out. And then I told my mom, I need to go to the doctor right now, I need to get my x-rays and everything, and I was being so over dramatic. I don't know why my game isn't loading, but that was the story of the time that I scrambled the bones in my wrist. I just want to say thank you. I will have a second video posted in a couple of minutes or hours, and I will see you then. Bye.